I turned 30 years old today. Back in 2009 or 2010 on my birthday, I was in a place called Get Real Studios. That's R-E-E-L. It was a pun. That's where my band rented a practice space. Yeah, I was in a band. Actually, two. I played guitar in this rock band called A Cruel Twist. It's been long enough now, I can say it. I never liked that name. I also did vocals in this metal band.
We are the TSHIRT Fiasco!
It was kind of like a joke project that I wrote that just became a real thing for whatever reason. I was still in college, I was finishing my undergrad degree at that point. I don't even think a master's degree was a consideration. I did get one though, for whatever reason. It is crazy to think how different my life is in just 10 years. I'm not really sure who this video's for, and honestly, I think it's mostly for me. But let me share with you just a few of my thoughts as I consider my 20s. Maybe it'll help you out. Life shit, you know? I'm really good at expressing myself. Figure out what you're passionate about and pursue it like a maniac. Don't let anyone shit on it. Don't let anyone hold you back from it. For me, that passion was creating, whether it was music back when I was in college or photography and videos now. I still do music now too, right? To the best of my ability, I tried to never let anyone or anything get in my way. Not a job, not people, not negativity. If you care about creating, you have to learn to just do it. You need to learn to focus on your art and how to mold your existence around it. I worked crazy hours out of college, so I filmed on the weekends. I made it work. If you're a creative, you owe that to yourself. You owe yourself the time to create. You owe the world that time, because hiding behind the idea of, oh, I gotta go to work, or oh, I gotta go do this thing, it's only depriving the world of that thing you could have created. Prepare to not have a good time. Now, I don't want to sound like a pessimist, but here's the tea. In your 20s, many of you are going to be getting out of college and you'll be thrust into the real world. Whether or not I can attest to the fact that the real world is at all different from college, it's still a major transition in your life. I started working in TV straight out of college. In fact, I started training for that job before I walked to get my diploma. And there was so much about that job that just made me feel like I was still in college. I was surrounded by like-minded people in their 20s. Many of those people inspired me to create so much. And some of those people are going to be friends for the rest of my life. Others, not so much. Let's just say corporate America can be a pretty not awesome place. I'm sure some people can fit in there and adapt and enjoy it, but ultimately, I didn't have a very good time there. I feel like I spent half of my 20s working a job that I hated. I loved the people there, I loved that I was doing what I went to school for, but I hated the job. I hated driving there, I hated being there, I hated the way I started losing my weekends, I hated being on my email constantly, I hated that I kept being called Lewis even though I asked to be called Lou. Damn it. But it was all a means to an end. The job afforded me the luxury of buying my first camera. That job taught me so much about myself, about what I actually wanted out of life. So while I wasn't having a great time there, I still grew a ton, and I learned some of the most valuable lessons. Just remember, everyone has to start somewhere. Your first job out of college is probably not going to be the most glamorous one you'll ever have. Find your real friends and love them completely. Let's talk about Keith. He's been in films I've worked on, he's been on videos on this channel, he's filmed videos for this channel. He is such a huge part of my life. He really helped give my life a sense of direction, no joke. When I met Keith, I was in a really fucking strange place in my life. I was in a really bad relationship, I had no priorities, I wasn't really invested in school, I brought nothing to the table. And he still saw something in me for whatever reason. He was the one who convinced me to take that first video production course. Video was like not even a consideration. I wasn't going to school for that stuff at all before Keith. And we made 3 videos together there. Since then, the thought of a project without him somehow involved, it just seems weird to me. Your real friends, they'll support you. They'll make you want to be a better person. When you find those people, love them with everything you have. Don't be afraid to fall in love. The whole career first mentality, it's bullshit. Don't close yourself off to something amazing. It happens when you least expect it. When I met Rebecca, I wasn't even remotely looking to get into a relationship. She just knocked me on my ass, and if I had been too close-minded to it, I would have missed one of the best things that ever happened to me in my life. She makes me want to be a better person. She deals with going on vacation with me and stopping every 30 seconds for a photo. She stays up to the middle of the night to take astrophotography pictures with me, even though she just has to kind of sit there. I offer her the camera, but she's just not, it's not her thing. Don't think I'm an asshole. But going back to the broader idea of relationships, you gotta just dive into it and hope for the best. In my case, I got really lucky. And on that note, be ready to take a risk or two. Just don't be an idiot about it. I think part of your 20s should be exploring the limits of your comfort zone. Just don't put your life in danger, you know what I'm saying? Like, I am not into heights, so clearly ziplining while I was at a wedding in Costa Rica was a good plan for me. You know what? I didn't have a good time. At all. But I did it. And now I don't have to do that ever again. Maybe that was a bad example. Going back to my first job out of college story, I actually stayed at that company for 5 years. And towards the end of my time there, they started changing the contracts for everybody who worked there. Suddenly, there was this potential for creative issues. Before those contract changes started happening, it was totally fine for me to be doing my own thing on the weekends, but suddenly, that wasn't the case anymore. The contract allowed the company the opportunity to prevent me from creating outside of the building. The potential, however small, of not being able to make films or make silly stuff on YouTube, the potential of not owning my own photos or music? No. It was a hard no. It wasn't even a thought. I refused to sign. I took a big leap there. I quit a job that paid decently, that was steady, because I believed in my creative that much. I'm not gonna lie. It was scary, but it worked out in the long run. Yeah, I was freelance and I was broke for a bit, but things fell into place. A really great mentor of mine once told me that sometimes you have to love your art enough to bleed for it a little. So don't take that as open your wrists in a bathtub over your photography, but do recognize that there might be times where things aren't so simple and easy for you. The creative life is not a straightforward one. You gotta stick with it. Understand your value, but keep your ego in check. One of my dear friends, Lovo, Deadass Mario, he's been on the channel too, he was a big part of that development in my life. When I was in my late teenage years and early 20s, I had a series of just shitty, terrible relationships, but we don't need to get into that stuff. But Lovo was the type of person who really helped me understand my value as a person. He really helped me see what I brought to the table, and he really helped me learn how to stand up for myself. But the good thing about a person like him is that he also knew how to keep an ego in check, because he is the king of shutting people down.
I forgot, like you would say, like cinematic piece of my dick in your mouth.
So much love for that guy. And even if you don't have a friend like that, you need to learn your value. Don't let people take you for granted. Wear your heart on your sleeve. Don't be afraid to feel things and tell people how you feel. It's normal. Especially if you're a guy. I know we grow up with this weird mentality of be a man, suck it up, don't be a pussy. But there's nothing wrong with expressing yourself, and in fact keeping things on the inside and not telling anyone is probably the worst thing you can do. Pay things forward. Help the people coming up under you have a better time. Don't ever try to hold someone back for whatever reason. If you know how to do something, pass the knowledge forward. It doesn't matter if no one taught it to you and you had to figure it out yourself, or it was harder when you did it and now it's easier. If you see someone who's younger than you who's just killing it with their photography or their video or whatever, foster that growth, man. It's not a competition. It doesn't matter if they're better than you. A great example of that, I went to this local film store in Westchester and I was just buying a couple of rolls of film, which, by the way, $12 for Triax? Like, what? Anyway, the guy was talking to me like I had never done anything with photography before. And listen, I'm not gonna lie and say that I'm an expert on everything, because I'm not, and none of us are, and that's kind of what I love about creative, is that we're always developing and honing our skills and getting better. But, you know, just that jaded attitude of like, oh, what does this kid know? Like, it's so shitty. Don't do that. Always be open to paying things forward. It's the right thing to do. Take videos and photos of your friends, momentous occasions, just hanging out, wherever you go, whatever you're doing. Take little snippets like that. Back in 2010, cameras on phones were not what they are today. We used to have a flip, We used to have random little digital point and shoots, but whatever the case may be, the fact that I have this footage from 10 years ago to look back on, it's really meaningful for me. And I guarantee you, you're gonna feel the same way. So capture those memories. And just a final thought on the creative process and on life. Nothing is ever going to be perfect. Creative projects, relationships, yourself, embrace imperfection. Don't ever hide behind the idea that you shouldn't do a project or you shouldn't pursue a relationship because it isn't perfect. It isn't. The relationship isn't perfect, the project isn't perfect, and guess what? They're never gonna be. Embrace imperfection. Alright guys, I know that was less funny than normal and definitely off-brand, but I felt like it was something I needed to get out there, get off my chest. I don't know, I hope you found some value in that. Yeah, so anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed the holiday. I'm gonna kind of leave it with that. You can reach out to me on the socials, you know what they are. I got another video coming real soon, so enjoy the new year. I'm sure I will talk to you right around then though, so alright, bye.
MySpace. Lou wants to bring that shit back.
Guys, check this out. My parents got me this card for my birthday, but look what's on the top. It's a red dot. I finally got my Leica. Look at that. This is the kind of Leica I can afford. Oh, baby. Look at that red dot. Get those tones. Smash subscribe. Like, come on. What are you waiting for? Just do it.